Let's jump straight into this program, everybody. Can I make sure that you've got a pen and pad, glass of water? Please make sure you've got that right now. And as usual, we have a little bit of housekeeping rules. So you may want to keep your microphone off unless instructed. Keep your cameras off as well. Have a glass of water next to you, as I just said, a notebook and fun. Most important, what we want to do is have a bit of fun on this and really connect. I believe community is the key. There was a Harvard study went for 75 years that looked at happiness. And one of the keys was relationships, personal relationships and community. Not the amount of relationships so much, but the relationships where you felt safe, where you could let go, you could kind of drop your ego, you could be real. And that's what I love about our communities, especially with our live events, our leadership team with Live It Now, and also, progressively with our online communities that are happening. We're able to create such a supportive environment where people can really let go and just be themselves without the pressure, without going to war on themselves, without, the exhaustion and pushing and competing and comparisons and all of those things. Having an environment that actually recharges you instead of stressing you out. And I want this environment to be like this as well for you guys, especially on our Breakout to Success Facebook group. You may notice I'm sharing a whole lot more content at the moment and really wanting to create that environment for you all to be able to connect, tap into, the network. Your network equals your net worth. What does that mean? Well, everyone has resources. Everyone has their own specific networks. And if we come together as a team, what happens is that you can create things so much faster than you can individually. So I'm really excited to see these online communities growing. Those of you that I haven't seen in a while, especially our Platinums, remember we've got so much new stuff that is happening with Platinum at the moment. We recorded all of our courses over COVID. They're online on our membership site now. As you know, Platinums, you get a lifetime reset on our courses as well. So you've got us for life. And we've just set up a new accountability system as well for those of you that are Platinums on here. So every week you've got an accountability session online now. You've also got an expert session where we're bringing in experts. So our Platinums, please know, I thought I'd mention that at the moment. But for those of you that don't know me, and this is our first meeting, thank you so much for coming along to Breakout to Success. I hope to see in some of our live events as we're bringing back all of our live events, and one specifically, an event that's really close to my heart is Live It Now. It's fundamentally a free event that we run for the community. I love to share this information because what I noticed when I was at school, this type of information wasn't shared. And I really needed it. My journey was really, really tough when I grew up. I had learning difficulties. I lacked confidence, and there was severe bullying that was happening. And when I was in class, I kind of did that kind of comparison thing where I compared myself to everybody else, kind of on every level, whether it be, how I looked or how smart I was and all of those things. And it created enormous amounts of stress. And it got to the point where I just realized I couldn't keep up, especially from an education point of view. And I just started to give up. And so I would sit in class and just in a daydream and thinking to myself, I'd never get this. I'm never going to be successful. I'm really, really dumb. All of those kind of belief systems or stories that were playing internally. And when I was about kind of 12 years old, the bullying was really, really severe, and it was kind of the first time I got honest and real about it. And I said to my dad, I think these guys are going to kill me. I don't want to be at school. I can't learn all of these things. My dad was interested in personal development, had this big personal development library. In fact, it was his most precious asset. No one was allowed to touch a book. And so he dragged me when I was 12 years old into an NLP practitioner training, and it really opened my eyes. And I was sitting in that training going, why am I not taught this at school? Like, why are we not taught about limiting beliefs, values, and how values produce enormous amounts of energy, especially in top 5? Why are we not taught how to release negative emotions? Why are we not taught about anxiety, about how anxiety is simply we're just stuck in the future thinking of the worst case scenario? And why are we not taught about getting on a true target in life? And so all of this stuff like really opened my eyes. And I remember I was 12 years old sitting in this event and I'm like, I am engaged. I am understanding this information right now. I'm loving this. But at school, I'm like disengaged, disconnected. And it was because this information was relevant and I was passionate about this information. And that kind of planted some seeds, and these seeds started to grow. And specifically, my voice started to kind of get louder. My true voice started to get louder. I became a bit of a leader, quite controversial as well. And that got me, I started to fight against the education system. It got me expelled, hence the Troublemakers Network branding there you can see on the screen at the moment. My principal called my year the Troublemakers because we were the worst year to ever come through. But what happened is half the school walked out in protest, refused to go back. This is like 2 weeks before my HSC. They refused to go back. And they turned up to my house and were like, Matt, we're not going. We're supporting you. And that's what they did. And so the principal calls my mum and says, we're turning it into a suspension. We've got to get the boys back. And so I was able to do my HSC. But I think one of the most challenging things for me, and often, our wounds become our superpowers, is when I was 13, my dad passed away. And unfortunately, it was on Father's Day. We were running along Manly Beach, and it was so traumatic. And the thing that my dad said to me right before he passed away, his last message to me was, Matt, the key to life is to live it now. Out of all of the books that I've read, the key to life is to live it now. So if you can see that logo on there, I launched an event called Live It Now. And initially I went to this meditation retreat. It was a Brahma Kumaris, and it was a free event, and they fed you and they gave, and all you had to do was give a donation, basically. My biggest fear on the planet was public speaking. And so I thought, what if I created an event? I'll run it basically for free. I'll give all of this amazing information out. I'll feed people, because typically people like food. And so they won't judge me if I give them really great food. And I'll run it for free, and it's by donation. So if I do a really terrible job, no one is going to be upset because it's for free. Little did I know it would go viral, and Live It Now is almost like a movement. And we've raised so much money for charity. I've lost count how much money we've raised for charity now. And my dad's kind of message lives on in that event. You can even see the colors of the logo. It's like life be in it, because we won the first father and son in that walkathon. And so this was a traumatic event for me. And I felt enormous amounts of sadness. I even felt guilt because we were running along the beach and we were sprinting with each other, and we had this big fight before he passed away. And the thing about it is that if I was kind of stuck in that guilt and sadness and making life decisions from that, my life would have been terrible. In fact, I probably wouldn't have been here. But thanks to this information, I started to turn my wounds into my superpowers. And these stories initially that were terrifying and debilitating have now impacted the lives of over 100,000 people nationwide. As I said, I've lost how much money we've raised. I've lost count how much money we've raised for charity, and we've created this incredible movement, this incredible tribe. I launched the Institute of Behavioral Science as well. The Institute of Behavioral Science is a network of bringing the best doctors, the best psychologists, PhD level positive psychologists, and bringing it together with the alternative world, with NLP, alternative medicine, all of that type of stuff. Because I looked at the market and I saw psychologists bashing coaches, doctors bashing alternative practitioners, and vice versa. And so I thought to myself, at the highest level, we just want to create a positive change. My mission is to create a positive world, one person at a time. So I thought, what if we just focused on that? What if we focused on helping people? What if we brought our knowledge together and utilize that knowledge to be able to work with people wherever they are, to be able to support them and help them take them to the next level? My company, Your Future Now, I created Your Future Now to help people get on a true target. So many people make decisions with their wounds, and if you make life decisions with your wounds, you repeat them. They just get bigger and bigger and bigger until you wake up out of that trance of the wound. And so many people live their entire life on a false target. And so Your Future Now is all about helping people uncover their truth, turn up the volume of their true voice, and start to make life decisions with your true voice. If you make life decisions with your true voice, you get on a true target. And really the game here is to be able to help people get on that true target and then increase the level of freedom in their life, unlock their authentic power and increase levels of freedom, almost like a video game. If you take a gaming approach to life, you start figuring things out. And what if there are different levels? And we'll talk about that. Your Future Event is our events promotion company, and we want to help coaches. We want to help speakers that have a great talent. You've got a great passion. We want to help you be able to get out there and share your message and disrupt the market, if you will. So they're all of my different companies. I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, and I think what I'm here to do is to help people unlock that hidden voice inside of themselves and then create a really supportive community until they tap into that mission. And the thing about it is, like, if you think about it, a lot of people on this planet never tap into their best version, let alone a mission. And I want to change that. And I want to give this information to people that need it. And as I said, I think it should be in school. So especially with Live It Now, it's my contribution. And if you ever want to come to Live It Now, just check out liveitnow.com.au. We've got one coming up, I think, in July, and be part of this incredible community. It's not a pitch session or anything like that. It is such a wonderful and beautiful event. So I've got an hour with you guys today. So let's get into this challenge. So first thing I wanted to share with you, I launched another book. It's called Lacking Confidence, a free guide to create lasting confidence that actually grows over time using RCT. RCT stands for Rapid Change Technologies. It's my modality that I've created, and it's really, really powerful, and we'll share a little bit more about that. Rapid Change Technologies brings everything in to the component, whether it be nutritional health, psychological health, physical health. We bring it all into the equation and we look at follow through. And so if you would like a copy of this book, it's a small little guide that I created. I'm going to be giving copies on my Breakout to Success free Facebook group today. So if you want a copy, jump on there, and I'm going to be giving a few copies today. Now, if we look at confidence and how do you develop confidence, typically the old model of confidence is repetition, and more specifically an externalization of repetition. And what I mean by that is confidence comes through repetition of an activity. Now, sure, that is the truth. There's no question about that. The more external repetition, or the more you do a task, the more confident you become. But the challenge is, what if you can't even get yourself to do that task? What if you're stuck in a bit of pessimism, or the stories that are playing internally are not conducive for you to be a creator or for you to start creating? Well, what that means is that we need to start to look inside. And this is what I talk about in this book. If we look at the structure of belief systems, first there's an idea, there's a concept. That idea comes in, and then we play a story typically associated to that idea. The more times that we play that story, what happens is it becomes a belief system, or the more references that we have, it becomes a belief. Now, the challenge is that we can have really positive ideas, right? And we can play really, really positive stories, which will turn into positive belief systems. But what if we get ideas that aren't necessarily that positive? Sorry, let me bring that back. What if we get ideas that are not that positive? Okay. And what if these ideas come in and we become obsessed about those ideas that are not necessarily positive? Well, guess what's going to happen is that I'm going to have belief systems that are going to be limiting. Now, when I talk about limiting belief systems, what I often mean is imagine this. You're born into this incredible mansion. You've got endless rooms in this mansion, okay? And with each of these rooms, there is possibility. Every time you open a door, there's possibility. And that's kind of what this world is, right? We've got infinite possibilities. In quantum physics, they say there is quantum possibilities to have what you want, but there is also quantum possibilities to not have what you want. And so when we have positive belief systems, we are opening the doors, okay? Now, when we have limiting belief systems, what it means is that we are closing the door. We are closing the door to possibility. And so the challenge is that if we have, an environment that we've grown up with, which isn't necessarily that supportive, which is conducive to ideas of limitation, well, we're going to play those stories over and over again, and they're going to become these limiting beliefs, which is literally shutting the door. And so this is where we get to a point where we might be middle-aged And we're living in a two-bedder. We had this infinite mansion with infinite rooms. Now we're living in a two-bedder that's about to become a one-bedder because we keep shutting the doors to opportunities. Now, also, if you look at the news at the moment, if you look at the climate at the moment, it is doom and gloom. And so these ideas are often, we take these ideas, we run with these ideas, we play this story, they become belief systems as well. And so when it comes to creating confidence, we want to do the opposite, everybody. We want to create ideas of possibility. We want to play those stories of possibility, and we want to move all of our belief systems so that we are at cause, not at the effect side of the equation. The effect side of the equation is where I'm powerless, okay? The cause side of the equation is where I am a creator. I am in charge, my ability to respond. I'm not a passenger on the bus. Suddenly, if I had been a passenger, what I do is I stand up and I take the driver's seat and I start driving in the direction of my true target. And so in this book, this is what we look at. We look at where did these ideas and stories come from, and how do we change these belief systems? So instead of we've got a whole lot of belief systems where we're powerless, what if we could change the stories of those belief systems so that we're at cause? Now, if you look at an area of life, whether it be health, wealth, or relationships, you can look at what are all of the limiting stories or limiting beliefs that I've got there. Now, we can change this stuff. Now, as we change the sum total of all of those decisions in that context, in that area of life, and we change these limiting beliefs from being at the effect side of the equation to cause, suddenly we move into creation. And what I want to share with everybody is that we're meant to be creators. I really believe that. We're not meant to be disempowered. We're meant to be moving. We're meant to be creating. We're meant to be creative. We're designed to be doing this. And so the challenge often is that we may have some limiting programming. We have this powerful, powerful unconscious mind. We don't know how to use it. This is a big challenge. We haven't been taught how to use it. So then we're at the effect of the programming from our environments. But the thing about it is that you can change this. You can change this just by two things, by getting on a true target instead of a false target, transitioning to a true target, and then turning your limiting patterns into patterns of power. And we can help you do this. You become a heat-seeking missile, which is what we're designed to do. And it's like I said to you before, a lot of people, they never tap into their best version. They'll never, ever experience that. You guys are in the top 10% on this call right now, on this challenge, that will achieve this, armed with RCT and these techniques. And a small percentage of you will tap into a mission. And a mission is where you move into that overflow. Energy becomes magnetic and things actually start to come to you. You start to see the opportunities. Fundamentally, they've always been there, but we start to see possibility and attract possibility instead of impossibility. So this is just a little bit of a snapshot of that book, Lacking Confidence. As I said, I'm going to be giving you guys a couple of copies. Let me know if you want a copy as well. On here, you can type a yes in the chat. Rachel's going to put the link to our group in the chat as to our free Breakout to Success with Matt Catling group as well. So please be on there. I'm going to challenge you on that group as well. So let's get into our presentation today. The first thing I want to talk about is an awakening that's occurring. With any crisis, what follows a crisis is an awakening. And I'm really seeing this at the moment. There are people that are stuck in the crisis. Some people are almost addicted to crises, and you can look at their personal history, and often they'll attract crisis after crisis or embed themselves in other people's crises. But there are a few percentage, there's a small percentage of people that are waking up right now. And with my clients, we use crises to wake up. We use conflict. Instead of running away from conflict, we embrace conflict. There's magic in conflict. There is magic in setbacks. There is magic in challenges. Yet most people avoid them. So instead of avoiding it, what we want to do is use these challenges, use these crises to be able to wake up, to be able to shift consciousness, to be able to see possibility. If you think about this challenge, this 3-day challenge, Breakout to Success, we break out to success typically when we break out of the challenge. So like a lot of people, they want clarity before they move. But clarity doesn't happen. Clarity doesn't happen before the crisis typically. Typically, we need to move through the challenge or the crisis to break out to a new level of clarity or to break out to a new level of success. So yes, there is an awakening happening. And what I believe, the era of the wounded leader is shifting everybody. You can see who's running the world at the moment is wounded leaders. But I believe these crises are going to bring in a new level of leadership. The wars that are happening, inflation, all of these things, I believe there is a silver lining that's happening. And also what I believe is that what we need is a new psychological revolution. The biggest challenges that I see in this world are psychological challenges where we've had communities that have had generational hatred that has been passed on generation after generation. As I said, wounded leaders, all of these different things, using fear as a mechanism for attention. I believe all of this is going to shift over the next 10 years. So there is awakening happening, and there's people that are going first. And so what I believe is the era of the wounded leader is shifting, and it's creating space for what I call the authentic leader. And what is the authentic leader? They're simply not making decisions from their wounds. The authentic leader has turned up their true voice. They're making life decisions from their true voice. And this is what I said to you before. You make life decisions from your true voice, you get onto a true target. Now, interestingly, when you get onto a true target, things actually start to flow. It's not about pushing. It's not about exhaustion. It's not about burnout. It's not about all of those things. That often indicates that there is a war inside. And that's what we want to look at. The old model of personal development is to attack, is to push, 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 push. But what if there's another way? What if we don't have to go to war on ourselves? You know, the external is often a reflection of the internal. We see war happening all the time, right? The war on terror, the war on drugs, the current wars that are happening right now. And so we can make the misconception that we need to go to war on ourselves, and that's how we change. But if you notice, the war on terror didn't work. You may win the battle, you won't win the war. War perpetuates war. The war on drugs, did it work? No, it didn't. Drugs are easily available now, more than any other time. So what I'm saying to you is that, sure, you go to war on yourself, you might have a quick fix. You might win a battle. You might put on that 5 kilos, you put on that 5 kilos, you go to war on yourself, you might lose 4. What happens after the war? You put the weight back on. So, and the same happens around money, right? You save a certain amount of money, then something happens, you go into free fall, then to get it back, you attack yourself. You go to war on yourself, right? I have to put this budget in place. I have to go into restriction. However, you look at the people that follow through long-term, they love it. They love, like, people that follow through when it comes to money and investing and all of that type of stuff, they love doing it. They absolutely love doing it. They look forward to it. The people that follow through in their health are the people that love eating healthy, that love moving. They're not going to war on themselves. And then this is what I'm talking about, the long-term polarity. And that's really what I want to share with you over the next couple of days is, how do we heal that war inside? And then how do we move to overflow? And that's an overflow of energy, an overflow of unconditional love, and an overflow of abundance. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to push yourself and go to the next level and all of those things. But what I'm saying is what if we unlocked your authentic power that is inside? And what I mean by that is, think about this. You set a goal. You set a goal that you really, really want, that is a true target, not to rescue everybody, not to fix this. And you work out what you actually want. Now, has anyone ever experienced this? And give me a yes. You've set a goal, and then all of a sudden you tap into all of this energy, all of this excitement, all of this inspiration, all of this motivation. Yet maybe 30 seconds ago, you're exhausted. I see this in my Live It Now event. Day one, like, everyone's exhausted. The audience is disengaged. Some people want to attack me. By the next day, the Sunday, which is really, really interesting, everybody is awake. Everybody is focused. everybody's energized. And by the way, if you want to change an area of your life, you just need to put more energy into it. Not the energy of fear, guilt, hurt, or sadness, or whatever it is. Maybe the energy of excitement, passion, compassion, if it's a relationship. And so we have all of this energy. And so I say to everyone, I've challenged you physically, mentally, emotionally. Over the first day of this event. The first day, you guys were disengaged. Day 2, after me challenging you, you are full of energy. So what does it mean? Well, it means that we have this incredible amount of energy inside. But often what happens is that we're disconnected from that authentic power. And I really believe the game is to unlock that authentic power and then to be able to find that level of freedom, whether it be internally or externally. And it's almost like a leveling system, almost like a video game of each level, you unlock a different level of authentic power, and each level you unlock a new level of freedom. And that's what the awakening is to me. The integrity revolution is being in integrity with yourself. As I said, launching that authentic voice, that true voice, making life decisions from it, and then getting into flow. Who thinks that'd be pretty good? Being able to handle the basic stresses in your life, create space, turn that true voice up, and move to simplicity and flow and really attract amazing opportunities. This is what I'm seeing with my clients at the moment. My clients are creating incredible results by just healing the war. As I said, the old paradigm of personal development is to go to war. The new paradigm is to create peace inside, is to reconnect with your authentic self. And we reconnect with your authentic self when we work out who you were before the patterns, before you took on board all of these programs, that have been running untethered. And so if we look at the old paradigm of personal development, what you avoid in life creates an internal war. We're going to look at that. And so if you're avoiding stuff, what it indicates is there is a war happening inside. Now, war takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of resources. And this is where we can have these emotional leakages that are happening and exhausting us. And this is what I mean, is that when we fix those emotional leakages and we get onto a true target and focus on a true target, we ignite this incredible energy. And this is what I'm seeing with my clients. I'm seeing unbelievable results with my clients at the moment. And this is through COVID. This is with all the challenges that are going on at the moment, where some business owners are out of the game, bankruptcies increasing, all of these different things, yet my clients are booming. I've got clients that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars in the space of 13 months. I've got clients, one client recently did a deal where they're making $1 million a year. They're financially free now. And they attracted that without force, just by unlocking their authentic power and moving into overflow. Can you believe we've had 100 marriages through our networks where our clients are saying consistently, the person just showed up, I didn't do anything, the person just showed up. Last year, we had engagements happening every 2 months. That's better than any dating agency. We've had clients, one client in particular, she's on this call at the moment. I think it was Feb. She came along and did Ultimate Life Recharge. She's lost basically 16 kilos. Another one of our clients, 10 kilos, arthritis is gone. And this is by looking at the energy inside, unlocking the authentic power, and then magnifying that and moving into overflow, as I said before, and then bolting on strategy, community, and all of these things. And a lot of these results are happening in our entry-level program, Fast Fit Free, which is one of our cheapest programs. Our clients are getting these types of results. One of our communities, they came together and did the wealth part of Fast Fit Free. They did 465,000 in the space of 6 weeks. And again, this is during COVID. These things are happening right now. And I'm sharing this with you because what did they do? They stopped the internal war. They looked at the emotional leakages. They healed the emotional leakages. The biggest opportunity for personal growth is to systematically embrace and move through the things that you would avoid at all costs. A lot of people set goals that are comfortable or the area of life that they want, which is great, but the thing that you're avoiding most, the thing that you're avoiding at all costs is sucking your energy at the moment. And if we heal that, we start to move into that overflow. And I call this a breakout because we start to break the cycle. We start to break those patterns and break through those patterns and move to a new level of motivation without exhaustion and burnout. How exciting is that? I'm going to share more about living a charged life tomorrow. Okay. I often use this metaphor to describe this. I'm talking really quick, guys, because we've only got a certain amount of time today. So I often use this metaphor, and you can see this big boat here, the boat's sinking. And that's kind of what a lot of people feel. They feel that they're just keeping their head above water, yet they're working really, really hard. They're pushing, but they're just keeping their head above water. I talk to people that are in corporate positions and they're like, no matter what I do, no matter how much I work, I'm not going to be able to increase my income to get to where I want in terms of my dream home, all of those things. Yet they just keep pushing harder and harder and harder and moving to a level of more and more stress, more and more exhaustion. Whereas the clients that I work with, when we heal these emotional leakages, they're like, Matt, I'm able to achieve more with less. And this is what this metaphor is about. Imagine there's this big boat and you've got this crew, and imagine like the crew's your unconscious mind. And so you've got this big boat, and this boat has holes in it. And this boat's sinking. And you've got this crew that are working really, really hard with buckets to get rid of the water, but it's not working. The boat is sinking and the boat's not moving. And the captain is saying, work harder, work harder. And imagine the captain's like your conscious mind. And the captain's saying, work harder, get more buckets, work harder. And the crew's working harder, but it's not working. What if we just stopped? What if we started to look at the holes and we started to patch the holes? We started to fix the holes. We started to fix the leakages. As we start to fix all of the leakages, guess what happens? The boat starts to float. And if we then take those buckets and we start getting rid of the water, all of a sudden the boat gets lighter. And that's really what happens with this work with RCT, Rapid Change Technologies. We stop and we look at the emotional leakages and we heal the emotional leakages. We recharge the batteries. Instead of what a lot of people are doing, they're at a point where they're not living a charged life, they're exhausted. And so we heal the emotional leakages, we recharge. And imagine the metaphor with this boat. And so they heal the holes in the boat. They suddenly get rid of all of the water with the buckets. Suddenly the boat's floating. Then some people say to me, well, what do you do next? Do they pull out oars and start paddling in the direction? And I say, no, when you overflow with energy, not underflow is that you've got the emotional leakages. When you overflow, we've just simply got to heal all of the leakages. Suddenly you're buoyant. Then we just need to point the boat in the direction of your true target and then simply put up the sails. And we will get to your destination easily and effortlessly, almost with flow. And that is what's happening with my clients at the moment that we're working with, that are in our Fast Food Free program, our Platinum Tribes, our Total Freedoms, getting one-on-one work, all of that stuff. That's what we're doing. We're simply just healing the emotional leakages, charging them up, working out a true target, and that clarity comes when you break out, and then just simply point you in a direction and allow the magic to happen. And this is why my clients are saying to me, my God, Matt, we did all of this work. I'm energized, then all of these people start popping up. All of these opportunities start popping up. It's almost like magic. And some of my clients say to me, Matt, like the universe has provided this or something like that. I'm like, no. The universe provided long ago. All of this stuff is already there. It's no different when you obsess about problems, all you see is problems. When you obsess about a car, the color, the make, you see that car everywhere. When you obsess about opportunities, you see opportunities. And this is it. It's all here. All of the resources are here. It's just the challenge is often that you're making life decisions with your wounds. And if you're making life decisions with your wounds, if that's your polarity, then you'll attract your wounds. You'll attract people that have the similar wounds, a similar pattern. One person might externalize it, the other person might internalize it. So it's almost like a self-controlled system. But what happens when we release the wounds? Well, we have a choice. We start to shift. People may drop away, new people may come in, we can move into new environments, and with those new environments, new opportunities start to flow through. Okay. And so just tell me, is this interesting? Give me a yes. Give me a yes on the chat. I'm talking a whole heap here. Is this interesting? Are you liking this? Kazi says awesome. Jesse says yes. Monique says yes. Kazi says love. Jai says speaking my language. Catherine says yes. Fantastic. Good. Everyone's still here. Akshay says yes as well. Let's continue. So we have this 3-day breakout challenge, everybody. So today is all about rapid change. That's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to look at a great technique called problems to power to rapidly start changing some of those belief systems and stories that we talked about. So that is our focus today. Day 2 is acceleration. As I said, living a charged life, charging up and moving to a new level of high performance. Day 3, we're going to talk about success, how to create success in this new world. I believe what's happening in this new world is the definition of success is actually shifting and changing. And it's more of a higher conscious, almost a spiritual practice when it comes to success. And we're going to talk about that on day 3. So day 1, rapid change. Let me talk about rapid change technologies, RCT. You may have heard of NLP, you may have heard of EFT, emotional freedom technique, or neuro-linguistic programming. There are so many acronyms out there, so I decided to create my own one. I've been doing this for 30 years. Can you believe? As I said, my first practitioner was age 12. And then I jumped into my dad's library of life, hundreds of books, became obsessed with it. In fact, I felt that he was kind of talking to me through these books, and he underlined all these passages, and it was like the right thing that I needed to hear. And I became so obsessed with it. I've done every course that I possibly could, especially in those early days. I got a bit of an inheritance after my dad passed away, and I was like total immersion. I did every coaching course, NLP course that I could find, and I just kept resetting them over and over and over again. It cost me so much money. That's why in my platinums, I give you guys a lifetime reset, so you don't have to do what I did, because I find you don't kind of get it the first set. It's kind of confusing and overwhelming. The second set kind of switches on your convincer. Third set, you hit mastery. So that's why I do that. But I've worked with over 100,000 people. It's actually probably more now than that. I've worked with people that have been on the edge of life, that have been in a really, really challenging situation. And I got renowned as almost like a turnaround expert when it came to people that were in that situation. In fact, I had psychologists and counselors referring people to me that they couldn't get breakthroughs with. I've worked with people that are really, really high achievers, leaders, whether it be in the corporate sense or business owners. I've worked with celebrities, I've worked with athletes, even titans of the business world I've worked with. Unbelievably, I've trained psychologists, I've trained doctors, neurosurgeons, thousands of therapists and coaches, and consultants in RCT. Some of the biggest experts that you've probably heard about, I've actually trained them in RCT and different components of NLP back in the early days and all of those things. As I said, I became renowned for not just rapid changes, but lasting long-term transformations that resulted over time in a new high-performance psychology. And I call it RCT, and I call it rapid change technologies because it's not just therapy. It's not just mindset work. It's bringing everything into the equation. And so if you look at this, rapid change technologies, we do release work. And the release work was kind of what I was talking about when it came to that big ship. The boat's sinking. The release work is to patch the holes, is to heal the emotional leakages. And how we typically heal the emotional leakages is to release the wounds, is to release the limiting decision, is to change the meaning of the negative emotions. Now, a lot of people out there, they just do mindset work. Now, the challenge with just doing mindset work is it can become an addiction. In some cases, it can become an avoidance of dealing with reality. What a lot of people also don't realize is that action is part of the therapeutic process. In fact, we do release work or we do mindset work in order to help people take more action. And so if you're doing a whole lot of mindset work, and you're not taking action, Well, let me tell you, it's probably an addiction or an avoidance that's happening here. So we do a component of mindset work. We turn the wounds into superpowers, but we also look at a coaching from a coaching point of view. And a coaching point of view is being able to work out a true target, put a plan in place, and really get leverage on people to be able to follow through. We also look at tactics, and our tactics are strategies. Tactics are more the how-to, i.e. a blueprint, do this, do this, do this, do this. Now, with working with so many thousands of people and people that are at the top levels, I've been able to model some of the best strategies when it comes to creating businesses or launching businesses and taking them to the next level, strategies around health, strategies around wealth, relationships. Success leaves clues. But I also bring in professional services, bring in experts that have the best tactics as well. And then the most important thing is this community inside. If you bring all of these components together, which is working on the mindset and releasing what's holding you back, having a coaching structure that has you focused on your true target over the long term, a really amazing community, a community that is doing, the same jump or they've got a similar goal to you, plus armed with the best strategies. What happens is you start to see rapid change, and not just rapid change, you start to see lasting change. And this is why when people bolt all of these things together, you can see those incredible results that we're getting, almost like magic. If you do one of these components, you'll get a certain outcome. Like you've got a lot of people out there that are just doing tactics. And some of the strategists out there that teach a whole lot of how-to, a whole lot of blueprints, they bash mindset work. But the reality is if someone's not following through, they've probably got wounds that are taking them out of the game, or emotional leakages that are taking them out of the game. And so this is where, when you bring it all together, we start to get incredible results. And this is why some people believe, some experts out there believe that rapid change technologies, or RCT, is the new paradigm of personal development. Especially once we start to look at healing those emotional leakages and changing the paradigm of going to war on ourselves. Instead of going to war on ourselves, let's create peace inside. Let's overflow with energy. Let's overflow with unconditional love. And let's start to overflow with abundance. And we overflow with abundance when we start to actually see the truth. And the truth is, everybody, and I want to get this across, especially at this time right now, there are no shortages out there. Shortages or scarcity is built into the system. We live in an abundant universe. Shortages are built in by man, everybody. Like, you think about it. How do you increase prices? You create a shortage, you create scarcity. And this is certainly happening at this point in time. But if you take out all of that structure, and if you see the truth of the matter is that there is no shortages whatsoever. We live in abundance. And the more people that can realize that and to wake up, and part of that is releasing the wounds and beliefs that is not the case, that there is scarcity, fear, all of these things. As we start to release all of that stuff, we start to see the truth. And the truth is, when you shift your mindset, you start to see possibility. But if you have a whole lot of belief systems of impossibility, you will see impossibility. So if you've got a notebook, please write that down. I'd love you to take that away from this challenge today. There are no shortages. Imagine you could really take on board that belief system, and almost to combat what's happening in this world and the suggestions that are happening. No, there are no shortages. This is why I limit the amount of news. I create a really positive environment around me, and I surround myself with people that are playing a big game, that are really tapping into that abundance and those abundance of opportunities. Now, remember, abundance typically, or opportunities, come from networks, typically networks that are the next level above you. So everyone take a deep breath in and out. Is this making sense? Give me a yes in the chat. Awesome. And when it comes to RCT, can you see the benefits of RCT here? How we bring everything together, not just mindset work, but coaching, strategy, and then an incredibly powerful community that is heading in the direction. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, take a deep breath in and out. Have a sip of water. Let's continue on, everybody. So the first level of RCT is the release level, like we just shared. We want to identify those wounds. We want to identify those leakages, and we want to turn these problems or these challenges. We want to transition them from problems to power, basically. And we do that by basically changing the meaning. Now, all problems are problems with the imagination, as Einstein said, but all solutions are solutions with the imagination. So what does it mean? We simply need to use our imagination to be able to change things. Or another way to look at it is to be active with our thinking. So many are passive with their thinking. Thinking is actually the hardest thing that you can do outside of your normal rituals. That's why often we let our unconscious mind go untethered. But we need to move to the cause or take charge of the thinking. And when we start to take charge of the thinking, we can start to change the meaning. We can use our imagination. We can become active with our imagination to be able to move to solutions, to be able to move to possibility. And this is where you've probably heard this before. You change your story, you change your life. But what does that mean actually? Well, what we actually have to do is get to the root cause and change the story. And so if you imagine, we've got a timeline, right? Here is the past. Here is the future. And here's the now position. The challenge often is that we don't spend a lot of time in the now position. Why? Because we've got wounds. And often what can happen is that we can be stuck in those wounds, and we can have a daisy chain. It's called the Gestalt. A whole series of events like this. And imagine this could be anger, sadness, hurt, fear, whatever the wound is. We can be stuck in the past when it comes to that. You may have experienced this in a relationship where you've had some type of conflict, and then all of a sudden it's triggered all of these past memories, and you start living in the past, reliving the past over and over and over again. Well, what's happening is that you're now looking at your future through the lens of your past. When you increase emotion, you decrease intelligence. And this is where someone can live the majority of their life stuck in the past. This is also if we look at relationships where maybe someone's been hurt in their relationship, and then they bring hurt into the next relationship and the next relationship because they're not in present time. They're still stuck in that past relationship. It hasn't been resolved. And this is where someone may attract the same relationship over and over and over again. Okay, like I said, you increase emotion, you decrease intelligence, or more specifically, if you make life decisions from your wounds, you will keep attracting that pattern over and over and over again. So for instance, if you believe you can't trust other people, you'll bring in that, you'll bring in that pattern over and over and over again. But the reality is your behavior may be conducive to not being able to trust as well. So you've got to look at what your projection is. Or conversely, we can be stuck in the future, and stuck in the future is anxiety, where we are thinking of the worst case scenario. And so when it comes to release, what we want to be able to do is discover the first event where this pattern started. Like traditional therapy is non-directive, where the therapist will say, well, what's the problem? Or how do you feel? And then because it's non-directive, the unconscious mind will just bring up any event. We've got to be really specific. The unconscious mind needs clear orders to follow. So we've got to be really, really specific. Now, we want to discover the root cause because that set up the thinking. If we can change the process, or if we can change the story, or more specifically, if we can change that idea when it started, we change the whole thinking process. And also, we then impact the entire Gestalt. So what that means is when the first one changes, everyone changes. And so we move from them being stuck in the past, we then start to live more fully in the present, or we start to live it now. Okay, and this is a breakthrough, everybody. There is amazing breakthroughs when it comes to therapy and mindset. It's just not mainstream. I can sit down with someone and release generational patterns of anger within 30 minutes, and then this person's relationship changes, they attract new things, and I can teach practitioners how to do this with an 80 to 90% success ratio within 40 minutes. Why isn't this mainstream? This is my thing. This is why I want to get RCT out there in the world, and I believe the new leaders The new leaders that we're going to see on this planet are leaders that understand the unconscious mind. They understand how to turn their limiting patterns into patterns of power. They understand how to motivate people. They understand the process of coaching. The greatest managers, the greatest parents are great coaches. They don't force people to do things. They uncover a true target and connect them and create a really supportive environment. Leaders that can share a message that will move the masses, but also in this new world, we need to be entrepreneurial. We need to be leaders. No one's going to save you. I like the old days. Henry Ford, Carnegie built it into the system with the pension, and then, you know, closer to that, our generation is super. Like, that stuff's not going to work. We need to become leaders. We need to be treating ourselves like businesses, and we need to be taking advantage of all these amazing opportunities because we live in this accelerated world. The challenge with this accelerated world, it requires an accelerated version of you. An accelerated version of you is not going to war. An accelerated version of you is where you are overflowing. You are overflowing with energy, overflowing with that unconditional love, and overflowing with abundance, and moving faster, but not expending the amount of energy that a war generates, if that's making sense. So I find when we start to live it now, so when we clean up the past, or we release the past, when we let go of the anxiety and we create new habitual thinking processes, we start to spend more time here. And if you think about it, imagine those old cars that have the analog radio, you turn the dial and it's static, and then all of a sudden you find a station, and then suddenly the voice is clear. There's more information. That kind of happens with our timeline, is that if we go back a step, if you imagine this is static. If we're stuck in the past, it's static. If we're stuck in anxiety, it is static. But when we move to the now position, when we become present, there is new levels of energy that start to be generated unconsciously. Clarity starts to happen. You may have had that experience when new ideas start to come through. Even knowledge. Sometimes I'm running an event, and like if you think of the first word in presenting, it's present. Sometimes I'm running an event and there's this knowledge coming through. I'm like, oh my God, where did this come from? And our job really, I believe, is to download that information. So download it, write it down, write these ideas down in a journal. Start to execute it. Remember, there's no $1 million ideas, everybody. There's $1 million execution. And so we create it and then we share it. Why do we share it? Because when we share it, it creates space for more information. And that's if we look at the world, contribution is so important. The secret to living is giving. And so we download whatever it is, we create and we share. A lot of people hold on to things because, oh, this person's going to steal it or whatever it is. No. Get out there, download, create, and create space for new information. If people steal your stuff, that's where they stay. I'm like, my belief is you want to rip my stuff off, do your best. I am so far ahead. I'm already thinking about the next step because I've downloaded, I've executed, and I'm sharing and creating space for new information. And this is really the first step of RCT, is we want to get you back here, everybody. And we get you back here by identifying the root cause, or more specifically, if we talk about that metaphor, we identify the emotional leakages, we heal those emotional leakages, and we just simply get you back here. And as you notice this, as you can see this, as we get you back here in every area of life, wealth, health, relationships, energy starts to unlock. Clarity starts to come through of a true target, and you start to tap into all of this repressed knowledge or knowledge from the morphinogenic field, whatever your belief system is. So we need to jump into this challenge now, everybody. So what I want you to do is grab your notebooks right now, and I want you to choose one area of life that you are avoiding or only taking action in a crisis. Is it the wealth area of life? Now, under the wealth area, it could be your career, it could be your business, or it could be investing, how you treat money once you've got it. Do you take care of it? Do you nurture it? Do you support it to grow, or do you throw it away? The health area of life. And that might be emotional health, nutritional health, physical health. The relationship area of life, relationship with self, other people, family, friends, community, all of those things. But what you notice in the middle is mindset. Mindset is the glue that connects every one of those areas together. This is why you have a breakthrough in wealth, often it will impact your relationships. Or you have a breakthrough in health, it'll impact your relationships or wealth. Often the answers are not in the area that you think. Well, what we want to do to create the biggest breakthrough, remember what I said, the things that you avoid most hold the biggest opportunities for personal growth. So in your book right now, I want you to write down what is the area of life, one area, really important, one area of life that you're avoiding at all costs. One of our clients on this training, she did Fast Fit Free, specifically our mindset and relationship accelerator. And the first thing she said to me is, Matt, I'm not looking at this area. There is no way I'm looking at the relationship area. There's been too many challenges. She chose the relationship area after a little bit of coaching. And within 6 weeks, she had a relationship. So if you're avoiding that area of life, maybe you've had some challenges, maybe you've kind of stuck in the independent thing of, yeah, I'm just not looking at that. No, I'm just going to be eternally single or whatever it is. I challenge you to look at that area. If the health area, if you're only exercising when you put on the weight or when there's a major challenge, that's the area for you. If it's money, if you avoid money, if you only look at money in a crisis, that's the area of you. For this challenge over the next 3 days, we want you to choose one area. Okay, so choose that one area right now, write it in your books, and I want you to share now on the chat. What's the area of life you're going for? Is it wealth, is it health, or is it relationships? One of these 3 areas. So sharing that right now on the chat. All right, what have we got here? Okay, so Cassie, you're going for wealth. Jai, you're going for health. Jesse, relationships. Monique, relationships. Katarina, wealth. Jane, wealth. Jenny, hey Jenny, health. Relationships. Alexander, Linny, health. MC, health. Josephine, relationships. Joshua, finances. Jamie, health. Kira, health. Catherine, relationships. Awesome. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to look at that area of life specifically. And I wanted to do a bit of a demonstration with someone. These problems to power questions are actually in the Lacking Confidence book. So if you want a copy of these problems to power questions. What I'd love is to do a demonstration with someone. Who would like to be? Kazi just raised her hand straight away. Awesome. Kazi, do you want to unmute yourself? Let's see you.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so what was the area of life that you chose again? Sorry?
I chose wealth.
You chose wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can write this stuff down if you want to.
Sure.
And I'm going to do what's called problems to power questions. It's part of RCT. As I said, if you want a copy of these problem to power questions, it's in my book. And I'll be giving that book away on the Breakout to Success. Okay, so okay, cool. So Kazi, just tell me, what is the problem when it comes to wealth?
So the problem that I have when it comes to wealth is that I don't have physical wealth. Like I know it on a spiritual level that there's wealth out there. I haven't actualized it.
So what we've got here, I don't know if you've seen this, guys. We've got a parts integration that's happening here. Okay, so I don't have physical wealth, but the word "but," I believe it's here. Okay, this kind of "I believe it's up here" can actually take you out of the game. And the reason is because you can live in the spiritual world and not actually be in practical world. Totally. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we got to kind of bring you back down. If we look at it, like if we look at these areas, everybody, and you may want to write this down. There's the physical, there's the mental, there's the emotional, and then there's the intuitive. What can happen is that you can avoid one of these steps, like whether the physical is too hard or the mental, I'm not smart enough when it comes to money, or the emotion, certain emotions, guilty receiving when it comes to money. And the easiest thing is to live up in the intuitive, to avoid, to disassociate. To really switch any area of life on, we've got to look at what's happening around the physical, the tactical area, what's happening around the mental, or the wounds around the mental, emotional, and intuitive. Now, if we switch energetically on the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the intuitive, that's when money just flows. Abundance. When you live, when you live up in just the intuitive, you might get a little bit, but it's never consistent. We're never in that overflow. Is that kind of making sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what's the problem? The first thing that we've noticed is a bit of a parts integration that's happening there. So how specifically is wealth a problem for you?
I don't have it. Like physically, I don't have it. Yeah.
So the problem is that I don't have money. Is that correct? If we're
Correct.
being more specific.
Correct.
Okay. And if you think about that, is there an emotion that's connected to that when you think of not having money? How do you feel?
Fearful.
So I want you to write that down. So the belief here is, so if you think about the education I did in lacking confidence, everybody, the idea that then turns into the story that turns into the belief system. So what we have here is like a belief system that I don't have money. And then what's connected to that is the emotion of fear. Okay? You can even see in your throat and your breathing just changed when we talked about that. Okay, so take a deep breath in and out. So the next thing I want to ask you is the belief I don't have money or enough money, and then the fear that's associated to that. How long has that been a problem?
Oh gosh. I'm going to say a long time. I think like specifically, I want to say I was living in Tamworth and I'd just given the last bit of money that I'd made from the sale of my house to my brother and he went bankrupt.
Okay, so how old were you back then?
That would have been around 32.
So age 32. So we'll just write that down. And who was involved was your brother. And so you trusted your brother, you gave money away and you lost money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the emotion when it came to that event?
I was pissed off.
So you're angry.
Yeah. Yep, sorry for swearing.
No, please.
Yeah.
Please swear. So write down anger next to that. So we've got you're 32 years old, you had money, you gave it to your brother, and you lost it.
Yeah.
And you felt angry about that. So angry at yourself, angry at your brother, what?
Angry, so angry at myself for giving my brother the money, angry at my brother for like knowing he was going bankrupt, asking for me for money without telling me he was going bankrupt. Angry at my dad for suggesting that I sell my house instead of me hanging on to it, and then angry at myself again for not trusting myself to put it with Defence Housing so that it was rented, so that I had that investment and that it was there working for me.
Okay, so here we go. Here, what's happened here is that you're angry at yourself for trusting other people.
Yeah.
Because you don't trust yourself.
No.
Take a deep breath in. You're scared of trusting yourself. Breathe. Take a deep breath in. Okay. Remember, it's really often not about the area of life that you think. So here we have a relationship with yourself where you don't trust yourself.
Yeah.
How long's that been a problem?
Oh, fuck knows. Shit, I just sorry, all of this.
Keep going. Look, notice the body language here. No, you're just scratching your neck right now. So it's men.
Say that last bit again.
So it's men. It's men. It's around men, right? Breathe.
Yeah.
So early on, what's happened here is around potentially relationships, men not trusting yourself. Breathe. Which has had you be disempowered.
Yeah.
How old? First number.
4.
Age 4. Who was involved?
My pop.
Your pop, yeah. So let's just write that down. Age 4 pop. And there was fear. That's where it's come from. So just take a deep breath in and out. So the next thing I want you to do is, what I'd like you to do is see if you can learn now. You may want to shut your eyes as you go back to that event. Age 4, pop fear. And just see if we can learn something here. What do you need to learn about yourself?
That I'm safe is what came up.
So just float out of the event, float higher. What else can you learn about yourself?
God, I don't know.
This is good. Notice the energy, everybody. What's happening here? So just float up a little bit higher. See the 4-year-old you. There's a dynamic between you, your pop, and fear.
Finding it really tricky to so I'm finding it tricky to float up higher. There's just all I can see is like the leatherwork of the car. Being told to like lay down while he went into the pub. So yeah.
So just take a deep breath in and out. So you're alone, unsupported, fearful. And so you've been wanting support ever since. You've been wanting someone to take care of you because you felt alone, scared. And this is why you're giving your power away when it comes to authorities, right? And sometimes we take on other people's fears as well. Because you weren't born with this fear at all. Not your stuff. So what I want you to do now is just go back before this event. Just see who you were before this fear. And this is what I mean by authentic power, everybody. We just see ourselves before this, who we were before this. Because the fear's not you. Sometimes we'll hold on to fear to have a relationship with someone. Because maybe Pop was petrified. And maybe you put on a show. Because sometimes the most fearful people, they put on a show, almost like a bully, that type of thing. And here we go. Yeah, notice you just touched your throat right then. And that often means that you didn't have a voice. So you shut off your voice. And so as you go back before this event, who were you before fear? Go back before fear.
Playful.
There you go. Voice change. Everyone say that? Voice change. So who you are is playful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of you stopped being as playful as you were after that event.
Totally.
There you go. Voice change. Say that again. Awesome. All right. Go back to that event. See, like sometimes we hold on to patterns to have a relationship with someone, right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. We'll hold on to their wounds. It's like building rapport. We find something in common with someone. Sometimes we do it with wounds. We take on board someone else's wounds, and that's the only way to have a relationship with them.
Fuck.
And so as you go back to that event, just see if we can get any positive learnings. We're just loosening the grip. That's what we do. Just loosen the grip with problems to power. Is there any learnings you can get now?
Learnings for myself specifically. I just wanted to be loved, I guess, accepted, loved. Doing what I was told. Yeah.
So as you go back before that, you may notice you were playful and none of this shit even mattered. It didn't even enter into your mind. It only entered into your mind when someone else has got that wound. This is the thing. who you are before this event is actually who you really are. Who you are before this event, once we unlock this, and remember, this is just to turn these problems into power. We're losing the grip with these questions. When we unlock this, imagine that when it comes to finances, that you will be playful.
And I think that's just, it's like the memory that I have before that. I think it was before that anyway. It occurs that way, so I'll take it. Is just being excited, like I was going to play group, going to the Woodstock Hall. Like it was exciting. Entering in through the kitchen to the community hall where the play group was held. Like, yeah, that was exciting. It was, yeah.
So imagine this. Imagine this. We could bring all of that energy, your authentic power. This is who you are. You know, playful, engaged, self-driven, not reliant on other people, bringing your power back. And we brought that into finances and relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just imagine that, because we've just unlocked this authentic power. This is what I'm saying. The old pattern is exhausting. Did everyone see that? Give me a yes. The old pattern is exhausting. Giving your power away. I'm trying to create wealth by giving your power away in fear. That's been your strategy. To find someone that you think is like grandpa or whatever it is, and then to give your power away because of fear. Okay? That's been your relationships, and that's been your wealth. Now, all we need to do is just get back to who you really are, which is playful dancing. Okay? That's who you really are. As we bring that into your relationships, and just take a deep breath in, as we bring that into your relationships, suddenly you overflow. You start creating easily and effortlessly. You start making the right decisions. You know, and I really saw this with my mom. My dad controlled all of the finances. She was disempowered. She was a nurse. She was on a nurse's wage. And my dad was, you know, the financial guru. My mom created more wealth than my dad within 5 years of him passing by trusting herself.
Yeah. I love your mom, by the way.
Yeah, she's pretty inspiring.
Yeah.
And so this is the same thing. She did work on herself, and she switched on her true voice. She got her authentic power back. And then she started to trust in herself and make decisions. And she's incredible. It's only when she, you know, gives her power away, it's the wrong thing. But when she trusts herself and she does the research, she makes a decision and comes from a different place. And this is what's going to happen with you. It's just going to be playful, energetic, creative. And then bang, suddenly it's just going to start working. So if you bring that playfulness into your business, if you bring that playfulness and energy and all of those things will start working. Okay? So now I want you to come back to now. Come back to now. Take a deep breath in and now. What a great demo, everybody. A big round of applause.
Thank you, Matt.
My pleasure. And that's all we've got to do, really, guys, is just turn these problems into power. As I said, this is in my book, Lacking Confidence. Be on that group around lunchtime. I'm going to be giving some copies away. And look, again, a big round of applause for Kaz. Kaz, I'm going to give you a bit of a prize today for being such an amazing demo. And by the way, everybody, we will be doing prizes every single challenge. I'm going to give you the Wealth Now bundle. Okay, it is amazing. So I'm going to give you the Wealth Now bundle. Rach is going to give that to you. It's got a program in it, mindset work, all of that type of stuff. So that is yours for free, my dear. The Wealth Now bundle. Okay.
Thank you so much. I loved Wealth Now when I did Wealth Now. So thank you.
Awesome. Oh, this is new and improved. This is a different version. So,
amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Everyone, take a deep breath in and out. Give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. Wake yourselves up. So, day one of the challenge, everybody. Ideally, I'd love you to do problems to power questions if you can. So grab a copy of that book. As I said, I'll be giving it away on the group. So just join Breakout to Success with Matt Catling. That's where the fun's going to be, okay? So make sure you're on that group, and we'll be giving copies to you there. The next thing is I want to set you some home play. I know we're going over time a little bit today. As usual with me. Your challenge is this. In the Breakout to Success with Matt Catling group, Rach is going to put the link in the chat for you again. I want you to share the area of life. So introduce yourself to the group and share the area of life that you are going for. Now, tomorrow we have an amazing prize. We're going to give a prize to the person that is the most courageous, the most engaging, And the most influential in the group as well. So the identity challenge is this: share a video of yourself, introduce yourself and share the area of life that you are going to break out into. Okay, and maybe a bit of a description why it's important. And so that is the challenge. So I'm going to be watching who executes first. And so that's jumping on, doing a Facebook Live, a video of yourself, sharing, introducing yourself to the group and sharing the area of life that you're going for. Remember, the key to personal growth is to do the things that you avoid. So if you would normally avoid doing this stuff, execute as fast as you possibly can. This is what I say to my clients. You'll get a certain amount of energy from our one-on-one sessions. Okay, well, you've got to use that energy. If you leave it to the last minute, it can become really challenging. It's a law of diminishing intent. So execute as fast as possible. Like I said, there's no $1 million ideas, only $1 million execution. I hope you enjoyed today. Your challenge is the identity challenge. Tomorrow we're going to talk about accelerate. Day 2 is accelerate. And again, thanks for being here, everybody. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow at 8:30. Bye for now.
Ugh.